Further, whereas pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution, Section 33 of the County Governments Act and Standing Order number 80 of the Senate heard the County Assembly on the grounds for proposed removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Dr. Robert Monda, the Deputy Governor of Kisii County. And further, whereas pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution, Section 33 of the County Governments Act and Standing Order number 980, the Senate also heard the Honorable Dr. Robert Monda on the grounds for his proposed removal from office by impeachment as the Deputy Governor of Kisii County. Now, therefore, pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution of Kenya and Section 33 of the County Governments Act and Standing Order number 80, the Senate resolves to remove from office by impeachment the Honorable Dr. Robert Monda, the Deputy Governor of Kisii, on the following grounds. Charge 1, gross violation of the Constitution or any other law. Charge 2, abuse of office. Charge 3, gross misconduct. And Charge 4, crimes under national law. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next order, Clerk.
Order number 4, motion, hearing and determination on the proposed removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Dr. Robert Monda, the Deputy Governor of Kisii County.
Senate Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to move the following motion. Being the hearing and determination on the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the Honorable Dr. Robert Monda, the Deputy Governor of Kisii County, that whereas pursuant to Article 181 and of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Governments Act, on Saturday, 29th February 2024, the Kisii County Assembly approved a motion to remove from office by impeachment Honorable Dr. Robert Monda, the Deputy Governor of Kisii County, and further, whereas by a letter dated 1st March 2024 and received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate, on Saturday, 2nd March 2024, the Speaker of the Kisii County Assembly informed the Speaker of the Senate of the approval, the motion by the County Assembly, and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence of the proceedings of the Assembly. Further, whereas pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution, Section 33 of the County Governments Act, and Standing Order number 80 of the Senate heard and the County Assembly on the grounds for the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the Honorable Dr. Robert Monda, the Deputy Governor of Kisii County. And further, whereas pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Governments Act and Standing Order number 80, the Senate also heard the Honorable Dr. Robert Monda on the grounds for his proposed removal from office by impeachment as the Deputy Governor of Kisii. Now, therefore, Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution, Section 33 of the County Governments Act, and Standing Order number 80, the Senate resolves to remove from office by impeachment the Honorable Dr. Robert Monda, the Deputy Governor of Kisii, on the following charges. 1, gross violation of the Constitution of Kenya or any other law. 2, abuse of office. 3, gross misconduct. And 4, crimes under the national law. Mr. Speaker, With your permission, may I pick my moving notes? Mr. Speaker, as I move this very important motion, I want to start, Mr. Speaker, by saying that today is a day at the bottom of my heart, to the very best of the clarity of my mind, I'm offered a day to celebrate the integrity of the women of the Republic of Kenya. Why? Because, Mr. Speaker, of two women in Kisii, a woman by the name of Lucy Wahito and a woman by the name of Gladys Aminga. I'm celebrating these women in my heart, Mr. Speaker, because I've looked at the evidence, both in affidavit and what they said in the county assembly when the matter was there. And I think these are women of integrity. The deputy governor has spent a lot of energy to twist evidence surrounding the affidavits of these two women, and Mr. Speaker, they have stood their ground. Woman by the name of Lucy Wahito. After the deputy governor received the said 800,000 shillings, he quickly transferred that money to Lucy. And Lucy was brave enough to ask the deputy governor, what is this money for? And the deputy governor told her, and I'm reading from her affidavit, this is money in line with what we had discussed. I'll not go into details because we don't have time. And the woman asked him to take it back. He did not. She sent back the money. That is integrity. What we were told in English, that integrity means doing the right thing even when nobody is watching. Mr. Speaker, Gladys Aminga was also looped in. This time, to my mind, the deputy governor was desperate. Now that the money had come back, he needed to send the money somewhere. So he took the money to Lucy and connected it to some other requests of nephews and whatnot who wanted to be given a through pass to be given a business at the docket of Gladys. Gladys stood her ground, and if you go through the evidence, Mr. Speaker, she has written in her own handwriting, trying to clarify to us what compelled her. That, Mr. Speaker, is integrity. My second point, Mr. Speaker, is I want to acknowledge through this moving this motion, for the first time in the many years I have presided over proceedings of impeachment, I have seen humility in legal teams. The legal team from the county assembly has been very humble. They have not tried to be verbose. They have not tried to lecture us. They have not tried to show us how they are learned friends and what have you. They have pursued evidence. I congratulate the legal team of the county assembly. Mr. Speaker, I'm so proud that we have sat on a matter that the defendant had none other than Katwa Kigen. This is one of the most distinguished lawyers, not just in this country, but in the region and internationally. I had never known that I would have an opportunity to listen to Katwa Kigen, none other than the brain that addressed the International criminal court. Katwa is a great man. And Katwa, that humility has completely changed my understanding of the legal profession. My third point, Mr. Speaker, is academic, as I support the removal of the governor, the deputy governor. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, in the history of democracy, the greatest senator who ever lived in the United States of America was Senator William Wilbright. He was so great that he wrote and spoke to the story of power. He has got a beautiful book. I'll invite you, if you have time, acquaint yourself with it if you haven't. The book, Mr. Speaker, is called The Arrogance of Power. William Fulbright spoke about the arrogance of power. What you saw the deputy governor of Kisii doing to his own blood brother, Reuben Monda, collecting enforcement officers and doing to this brother of his, the brother who suckled the same breast with him, is the true definition of the arrogance of power. Once you have power, you can do many things, including what Deputy Governor of Kisii did. My fourth point, Mr. Speaker, is at my professional level. In behavioral science, we have something called split personality, which in medical science we refer to as dissociative identity disorder. This is a disorder, Mr. Speaker, whereby a normal person like all of us creates two personalities, personality A and personality B. And they choose to live without knowing that they're abnormal in one personality to serve them at moment X and another personality to serve them at moment B. This disorder is what I witnessed when witness Joseph Misato? Yes? Misati. When Joseph Misati was speaking, it was classical medical description of this disorder. Here is a man who is a very poor polygamist. The guy, his wife died many years ago. And she left him with beautiful children, one of them Dennis. So, Misati, who says that he loves Dennis, when he's in personality A, he's with Dennis in his mind, with Dennis' biological brother, and the late wife. Exit personality A, he goes to B, the guy then goes to the personality of the second wife, with the joint business account, with her children, who, by the way, some of us do research before we debate in this house, who, by the way, has children who Joseph Misati has already put in placement. It is that personality B that has been in this house, that was telling this house that my son is a liar, my son, ABCD, I will not waste your time by repeating his words. It is so unfortunate. That's why this world needs doctors. My fifth point, and I'm finishing, Mr. Speaker, sir. My fifth point, Mr. Speaker, is my desire to persuade you that let us take Deputy Governor Monda home. It is on the doctrine of law, and this is where I leave it to the lawyers. The doctrine of law You either do it because you have proved it beyond reasonable doubt, or you have proved it on the balance of probability. On the balance of probability of this doctrine, we would be lying to the country, we would be lying to the people of Kisii that on that balance, A, the boy did not sell his business. He has given us evidence. We would be lying to the country, dear colleagues, that the boy did not send 800,000 in the manner he did. On the balance of probability, Mr. Speaker, sir, we would be lying if we discounted the evidence by the two great women that I've praised at the beginning. My final point, Mr. Speaker, which is point number 6, is on the borderline of philosophy of religion. I am not a very religious person because I don't understand the Bible, but I believe in God. And on that philosophy, Mr. Speaker, many of you have heard that God made man, and man made money, and money made man mad. The madness you're seeing in this house today, Mr. Speaker, where a father can go against his own son, and a deputy governor can go against his brother, is the madness that money has created in society. I move and I request the distinguished senator from Migori to second my motion for removal of Robert Monda. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I think, Mr. Speaker, this is a very important moment in our country. And it's not by sheer coincidence that the mover of the motion for today, Mr. Speaker, is a ranking member of this House. And not only a ranking member, but also my senior in many ways. My senior in Parliament, my senior in life, my senior in wisdom, and also my senior in other ways.
Honorable Senator. Order. Proceed, Senator Eddy.
And Mr. Speaker, I happen to be also among the youngest senators in this House. So we are seeing some sanity in the Senate in the pursuit of justice, where the old and the young can speak on a matter that affects our country with the same passion and the same magnitude. Yesterday, Mr. Speaker, I sat in this House, and as you know, we also have our lobby on the other side where if you're tired, you can keep on watching these debates. So is today, Mr. Speaker. And always in the quest of justice, so as to be impartial, so that you can be fair, and so as you can ensure that as an arbiter of law, you are able to make proper judgment, Mr. Speaker, it is always good to listen. Listen more than you say. And that's why, Mr. Speaker, in these last 2 days, I've tried as much as possible not to come to this House with point of orders, not to come to this House to ask questions, but go with the mantra that God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can hear more, and also 2 eyes so that we can read more, and 1 mouth so that we can speak less when we have absorbed more. And I've listened in this House, Mr. Speaker. As a young man, I don't think that today's judgment is on the deputy governor of Kisii. As a young man in this country, I think that today's judgment is on us senators. And in my seconding this motion, Mr. Speaker, I want just to ask one question. You don't need to answer me, because we are in the quest for justice, and quest for justice cannot be there without truth. And sometimes truth is about self-examination, Mr. Speaker. I want to ask my brother Lelegwe. I want to ask my brother Matthew. I want to ask my sister Tabitha. I want to ask my sister Gloria. I want to ask my brother Kinywa, my brother Honorable Mogeni here, my brother Senator Ledama, all of these brothers of mine and sisters who are here. Tell me, if you reflect, that in the history of your life, in this country, if you have not met a relative, young from school, well qualified, and desperate for a job, who has sought for a job and has not been asked for bribe. It's a self-reflection we must do. We are faced with a case here that we must determine the future of this country. I can bet that if you self-examine, if you don't have a relative, you have got a neighbor. If you don't have a neighbor, you have got a village mate. If you don't have a village mate, you have got a friend who has sought for a job, desperate for it, qualified for it, and indeed willing to work at that job that is asked for, bribes, or some sort of tokens by people who own power, and in some cases, they lose big. I was a little bit hurt as a young person, because that experience, I do know that even among young people who are today rioting in the streets in the name of medical interns, I know a number of them that have reached out to us senators and told us, I'm trying to look for this job, but I'm being asked for 300,000. I'm being asked for 100,000. I can't get this job. And then, Mr. Speaker, when the defense appeared in this house, they call a young man who has lost money in that quest of desperation and destituteness. They say, that's a gambler. And as a gambler, we as a house must never listen to that gambler. As if, one, gambling is a sin in this country and is not in law in this country. And number two, because you are gambling, even if you are gambling for Arsenal, sometimes they say, Mr. Speaker, I want to quote, nawekelea Man U kichwa. For all those people who put money for Man U, if they say anything before the law, then they are not serious. Mr. Speaker, as I finish, if you look at the DG's response, volume 1, page 65 to 66, there's a number that drew my attention. In the cooperative bank account of the key witness from the DG side, the father of Dennis. And that number is 07, I want to mention it. I'll just say 0702 2 000, then the rest you can check if you've got those files. I did a simple search. If you look at that number, it belongs to the accused. And a number of times, the same person who is saying that they had given the wife money to go and give the son, to give to the deputy governor, in a number of times I sent money directly from that cooperative bank account to the same person, not once, not twice, but many times. It behooves you to ask, what necessitated that this time round, the money had to come from the same account, go to the wife, and then go to the son, so that it can reach the same number that is in that file. As I finish, Mr. Speaker, I don't want to judge the governor on the basis of lies. But today's judgment is for the young people in this country who try to tarmac so much in this country to look for jobs, and because people in power want money from them, we must show as a house that we can stand united on a bipartisan manner and stop this menace of corruption that denies young people opportunities. And I wish to urge this house that the act of sending the deputy governor of Kisii home is not malice, is about rethinking our future generation and how people in positions can be able to ensure that there is equal opportunities and equal chances for all. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I support the motion, and I thank you, and I hope that the dear senators here will speak not to the deputy governor, not to the county assembly of Kisii, but to themselves as they reimagine and they rethink the idea of equal opportunities to all. I thank all, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Senator Boni, you need to take your seat.